That's all good. Yeah, sorry about that. I had to go. I had to do blood pressure, and I couldn't do couldn't leave it. So it's a whole other story.
I need to. I'm very poor. I've I've not bought my pills from the doctor since November. They've been sending me some very snotty messages.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
Hang on. Sorry,
let's
I
get
just
back
got to
on.
make a note. Find younger co-hosts that don't need so much medication. Okay, brilliant. On with the show.
As the countdown begins to the 21st century, it's good to know there is still one number you can always count on. Bond. Bond. Can't you just say hello like a normal person?
Hello, tailoring talkers. It's time for the Bondathon. My friends and I are watching the entire James Bond movie series from beginning to end, one movie at a time. We deep dive into each film, covering everything from the plot, clothes, gadgets, cast, and behind-the-scenes stories, and our favourite moments. Please help the show by subscribing and leaving us a rating and a review. Step back into the tailoring talk time machine. We head to 1999 and the release of a film that conceptually was born 2 years prior on an in-flight news broadcast about oil fields in the Caspian Sea. Yes, you guessed right. It is time for The World Is Not Enough. Before we dive in, I must introduce my co-hosts. First up, it's the man for whom 2 pints and a packet of crisps is not enough. It's the voice himself, Jon Evans. Jon, how are you?
I'm very well, and you're right. Really, I need at least three packets of crisps.
Yeah, you did get through a lot of pints this past weekend, didn't you? But that's
Yes.
another story. Next up, it's the gadget guru with a heart of gold. An hour in his company is not enough. Welcome back, Alex Hansford. Alex, how are you?
I'm well. I'm not allowed any crisps anymore. There's too
Why?
much salt, apparently.
Ah, okay. Is this why you've got blood pressure issues?
It might be.
Hmm. Okie dokie. Before we get started, we need to get our spoiler alert in. We will be spoiling the living daylights out of this movie. Yeah, I can't be bothered to think of another one. I'm sticking with this for the rest of it. So, if you haven't seen The World Is Not Enough, hit pause, go see it, and rejoin us after. Um, Usually I've got something else that I say in this bit. I didn't prep it.
It's all right.
Anyway, it's just the three of us again.
Just the three of us. We can record this
Reviewing The World Is
together.
Not Enough. It worked for the last film better, didn't it? Reviewing
Yeah,
Tomorrow Never Dies.
yeah.
Just the three of us.
It's
Anyway,
cozy.
yeah. So, I first saw this film in 1999 when it was released in a cinema. It was the first Bond film that I ever saw in the cinema with my dad. And do you know what? I'm just going to get this one out of the way up front. Um, so I thought the CGI was all right in this film. I don't know what you two were talking about.
This is
Anyone that
this is
is,
not this is the wrong one. This is not the CGI. This is not the CGI that we're talking about.
see, wrong film. I had nothing to
Hmm.
do with the next one, if that's the one you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, okay, yeah, there we go.
You'll see when
You're
you
off
get
the
to the
hook.
next one. You'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I had nothing to do with that one. So now, before we continue, I would like a retraction and an apology, please. Jon, you can go first.
I apologize that you weren't involved in any way with the CGI of the film that we're going to watch after this film.
Which is
I don't know. I can't remember. It's Pierce Brosnan in
Die Another Day.
Die Another Day. That's it, I think.
Alex, your turn.
I'm sorry that you didn't get work at that point. They obviously went with someone else. I'm really
No,
sorry.
I'd left that tech company by that time. I sunk it. Um, yeah, that wasn't a very
Fair
good
enough.
apology. That was
Oh,
rubbish.
hold
Do you
on,
know what?
hold
I'm
on, hold
changing.
on,
What?
hold on. Maybe the fact that you left is why the CGI was so bad. Maybe it is your fault.
No, it's not my fault because that company didn't exist after I
Oh, right.
left. Yeah.
Okay.
But if they
So anyway,
had, then maybe the whole thing wouldn't have happened.
So in a way, it is your fault, Bobby.
We're doing this a show early because when we get to the next one, it'll make more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex, that is the last time you get described as Heart of Gold. Okay,
Yeah,
I
that's all
will
right.
be
Thanks.
thinking of something else for you from the next one,
Mm.
even if you're actually invited back. Okay, brilliant. Everybody say goodbye to Alex. So, okay, yeah. So, film came out in 1999. Do we have the figures? Yes, we do. 361 million turnover from a budget of 135 million. This film was released less than 2 years after the release of Tomorrow Never Dies. So I mentioned in the intro where the concept for this film came from. So we're past the era by now of borrowing stuff from Ian Fleming novels. They've kind of done that. So now they're on their own making stuff up. And Barbara.
Weren't some lines for Valentine cut from Goldeneye though, and used in this?
I don't know.
Did you see that? Sorry, listeners. I think Bobby's got some fancy camera because when he started thinking, the camera zoomed in dramatically on him without him knowing, and I got to see right up his nostril.
No, that was the Force. I used the Force for emphasis to bring the camera to me. So, so Barbara Broccoli was on a flight to Miami. She saw a news broadcast or one of those news documentary. Basically, sometimes on the news, rather than giving you the actual news, they sort of do a longer segment, and it's like a mini documentary about some thing that's going on in the world that you need to know about, like war or I don't know, something like that, AIDS or something. Anyway, so she saw something that talked about all the oil fields in the Caspian Sea and how they were not really used because of all the pipelines, all the routes out of Azerbaijan. They're surrounded by hostile territory because you got Russians, you got Turks and Iranians and Iraqis and whatnot. I should know what's around there, but I don't. But
it felt quite relevant though to today's problem.
Yeah. So that's kind of where the idea was sort of born from. What did we think of the plot of this film? Because the producers and the director, Michael Apted, was brought in as well. Famous documentary filmmaker. Also, he did Gorillas in the Mist, the Sigourney Weaver movie. I still haven't seen that.
Good film.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Did it win an Oscar? Don't know. Must have done. Feels like something someone would have won an Oscar for. So he was brought in, and it was, an attempt to kind of get back to a more grounded Bond, which, interesting. With Brosnan described the villain of the movie, played by Robert Carlyle, Renard, which is French, Renard, which is French for fox.
Fox, yeah.
Yes.
Which he's not in this film. He is not a fox in this film in any way.
No,
absolutely not a fox, but
no,
his lover is.
We'll come to that.
We will come to that. And Brosnan even went as far to describe the villain as being the most formidable Bond adversary ever and the most grounded as well. Now, how being shot in the head with a bullet that kind of stops and then starts to travel really, really slowly towards the center of your brain before it kills you is in any way grounded in reality, I've got no idea.
There's quite a lot of science fiction there, the way it stopped him from feeling everything as well. But he wasn't the arch villain in this film, though, was he?
No,
he wasn't. There was a twist. So I have got the director's notes about this film. The story needs, and I really, really want to read them to you two. But I guess first of all, I should ask you guys memories of when you first saw this. If you can think back as far as 1999, because it was 25 bloody years ago, nearly.
I don't remember seeing it in the cinema, I have to say. I remember seeing the Michelle Yeoh film in the cinema, but not this one.
Alex?
Must have been a Christmas movie for me.
I think I would have gone and seen it. it wasn't a great one. It wasn't that good. There's one person that comes to mind who we'll talk about later.
Yeah, let's just do our ratings and reviews now, Alex.
Yeah. So it's very forgettable film.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I get it. They kind of wanted to do it like back to normal. They wanted to get, and there's nothing to it, but also it wasn't very good. So I felt like I wasn't particularly excited about it at all.
Yeah.
Whereas I completely disagree with both of you.
Ooh.
What did I say
enjoyed
about
this
it?
more than I have. I enjoyed this more than I expected, and it was because I think I enjoyed the twist in the plot. Because I must have only seen it once on TV because I was guessing all the way through. I mean, I kind of worked out Sophie Marceau was a bad un, a wrong un, but I enjoyed guessing what was going on. I enjoyed the clever way King was killed at the beginning. I enjoyed having M in it as being kidnapped, which is a new thing. I actually really enjoyed this more than I have done for a few of them. This is quite a different point of view to you, Alex, which I find really interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna read Michael Apted's story needs sheet.
I liked the way that Sophie Marceau was the hidden villain. I thought that was a really new and unusual twist to a Bond film, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I know this film really, really well, for reasons we've already discussed, and I remembered everything about it. Okay, story needs number one, and do you know what? Feel free to interrupt and comment on whether you think they achieved this or not, or these things or not. There's 10 basically. Okay, so number one, place Renard early in the story. He should be perceived as the villain in block capital letters to deflect any suspicion away from Elektra. It's fun when we learn he is just a henchman. Dramatize his bullet condition early.
I mean,
Yeah,
it wasn't.
yes.
It wasn't rocket science that she was a wrong un. But to be fair, I did think she was Stockholm syndrome, and where she was the victim, he was not. But it was the other way around, really, wasn't it? So I think maybe they did a half job of getting it that far. If that makes sense. What do you think, Alex?
They met that need by describing his condition. They didn't actually show you it, and they also didn't really explain why he gets stronger as he gets closer to death. They just talked about him not feeling it, which is fine, but how he became stronger, I just don't know. So yeah, they technically met that, but just not very in an exciting way. They did introduce him early, but that was it.
I thought Robert Carlyle's acting improved from the beginning of the film towards the end. His first few scenes I thought were pretty tepid and hammed up as a villain, but towards the end I felt like it was a little bit better. I mean, who knows what order they filmed these scenes in, but I just felt like at the beginning when he was talking to his henchmen, it was a bit sort of amateur hour, really, which is unusual for Robert Carlyle.
Yeah,
agreed.
Number two, spend more time with Bond and Elektra. Let their relationship develop and be believable, so the twist in the story is more devastating to Bond. He is being totally duped. Now, John, you seem to be fooled by it because you were very surprised by the twist.
Yeah, but I enjoyed the fact that he was seduced and not the other way around, which is a change for Bond. I enjoyed that when it happened.
I mean, to be fair, he did get his fair share of, boffs in before that. But
well, hold on then. Hold on. Let's just give it.
Do you want to do the Shag Ormington now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, fine. Since I mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean, there's the doctor at the beginning.
Yeah, what was her name? Kristen Scott Thomas's sister, by the way.
Yeah, she was her character was, I'm just looking at, was
Dr. Molly Warmflash.
Molly Warmflash. Miss Dr. Molly Warmflash. Was that her surname?
That's her name.
That's it.
That was her name.
Serena Scott Thomas.
Yes.
She did her own love scenes as well. There's no body doubles there, apparently. So it's Dr. Molly Warmflash. then obviously Sophie, and then I think there's one more extra apart from Denise Richards from Christmas, who only comes once a year. I'm sure there's another one as well somewhere. I think it's three.
No, because he doesn't do Cigar Girl, does he?
No, because she blows herself up in a balloon over the O2.
Yeah.
Actually, in one of the deleted scenes from the film, there's a scene where they introduce Reynard a bit earlier in the room where he's sniping from, and he's talking to her about her role in it, and they're sort of toasting champagne, But he also says if she gets caught, she has to end it. She has to top herself off. And it was an unnecessary scene, really. And also, I think you didn't need to know that Reynard was a sniper at the beginning of the film. It was more interesting finding out later on. But yeah, so I think the shot count is 3 at the moment, which is I think pretty standard for Bond.
Yeah.
I did think Denise Richards, having known, she knew he'd been with Electra. It kind of didn't really match her role that she would just jump into bed with him, really, despite the great puns at the end. Anyway, back to you.
She didn't jump into bed with him. They went through quite a lot. She jumped into bed with him at the very end. They didn't jump into bed before that.
I don't know.
Did that whole anyway.
Submarine thing, yeah.
The whole 40 minutes.
Give Electra an agenda. Kill her father. Destroy everything about him. All company friends. Give her a big crazy dream. Destroy the oil economy. Find alternative fuel, remove Caspian Sea as viable source, end industrial polluting society, not just greed or raising oil prices. So Electra's agenda, because I mean, I remember the first time I saw it, it was a very, very good twist. You didn't like John says, you knew there was something a bit cheeky about her. I'm not going to say a wrong one, because again, towards the end when she says to Bond, come on, I was a French student, la boom.
Fair, that's fair.
Yeah.
I did write down in my notes, Sophie Marceau is hot at least 3 times, Alex. So
yeah,
the job done in terms of Bond girl, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone off script here because we're meant to be commenting on Michael Apted's
Sorry, so go back to number 3. Sorry, Bobby. Sorry.
No, it's fine. We'll just tangent all over the place. Okay. So on the subject of Sophie Marceau is hot 4 times, is she Diana Rigg hot?
Oh,
I think she might be hotter.
Ooh.
Although I thought the ice cube thing she was doing in front of Renard was a little bit awkward.
No, not at all. Not when
really...
she. No. That was actually quite naughty for Bond, I thought.
No, but I think she could have done it smoother. She didn't look very confident with the cube. It looked a bit clumsy.
I think she's helping you with ADI, I think, more than anything else.
Really? Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah, okay. Her political agenda I thought was very good. I enjoyed that a lot. It actually felt, in terms of the grounded kind of feel to the film, I thought she was one of the few villains that had a proper history and reason to want to do what she was doing. Obviously, Daddy was not very nice to Mummy, and the whole background of the people. And there's that scene, isn't there, where she goes and speaks to the priest in the temple, and they agree to move the pipeline around. I just thought that was very well developed for her. I believed her motivations for this. I almost sympathised, actually.
Yeah, and also the hatred or resentfulness that she had towards M. Because it was revealed when she was originally kidnapped, had basically told the father not to pay ransoms and not to give in to terrorists.
Use her as bait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to kick M in the balls myself for that, actually, because I thought that was quite a cold thing. Well, I mean, they're meant to be like family almost, aren't they? Because her and King were very, very good friends. So anyway, moving on, because we've got a lot to get through. Number 4, compromise M. She advised her friend King not to pay the ransom. We just talked about all of this. Number 5, Money Penny Phil. Oh no, I'll read it because you guys haven't heard this. So number 4, compromise M. She advised her friend King not to pay ransom. Don't play into terrorist hands. She created Elektra as a monster. King and Elektra were family to her. She's devastated by his death, appalled at discovery of Elektra's agenda and deeds, threatened by Elektra. Bond has a healthy respect for M. He argues, disagrees, fights with her, but he is there for her. M has to feel responsibility for Elektra. She never tells Bond the whole story.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't have to comment on it. You could just say, very intelligently, and just think about it.
I think that was well achieved as well in the film, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it was. That was probably like tick. It did that.
Yeah. Number 5, Moneypenny, Pennywise fills in the gaps for Bond about M and her involvement with the King family.
Well, if you say the King family, I think you're swearing. Sorry.
The King family.
I don't know. Why? I mean, I don't.
The King family. Why is that swearing?
King family.
Like the King family.
Exactly.
I don't get it.
King L.
Oh. But it doesn't sound like that. I said the King family. I didn't say
I know.
King family.
Again. Underlines note, double underscores to work with younger co-hosts in future. Yeah, but I mean, Moneypenny. So let's talk about Moneypenny while we're there, right? So Samantha Bond again, very sassy. You know, there's this frisson between her and Bond. Will they? Won't they? She's always there for him, and you know, she's almost like a Patronus for him, isn't it? So where there is stuff that he's not being told by the higher ups, she's kind of always there to, you know, almost like a safety net for him.
Yeah,
I like Samantha Bond. I think she was the best.
I particularly like the cigar.
Yeah,
they really worked on that, and then she went, "I'm going to put that where it belongs." And I liked.
But they pause before you see the bin, and it's like
because there's an intended joke there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's really.
I called it Moneypenny's cigar dildo joke. Oh no, bin joke in my notes.
But it was nicely timed.
Yeah. Number 6, make Bond discover stuff, especially about the kidnapping. So again, I think they do a pretty good job of that, of him kind of picking up the breadcrumbs as he goes along. I mean, obviously the biggest giveaway was the world is not enough phrase, because she says that to him, the world is not enough, James. And then Renard says it, and then he puts 2 and 2 together, and he still kind of comes up with... Enough.
That's not what they say.
What did they say?
That's not what they say. His
there's no point in living if you can't feel alive.
Yes, that's it. That's the one. Because he actually responds to something that Elektra says with "the world is not enough." That was Bond's line. I'm pretty sure
it was. The world's not enough for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to find whereabouts in the film
it should be Bond's line because it's his family.
It's towards the end when he's he goes up to the castle in Istanbul. I mean, again, yes.
I could have given you the world. Sorry, I could have given you the world, and Bond says the world is not enough.
Yeah.
So she's kind of lamenting on Bond not siding with her point of view and giving up MI6 and becoming her lover. And in her campaign to sort out the oil in her neck of the woods.
Yeah.
I think I was in a
put in a weird torture chair after that, wasn't he?
Yeah, because I think I was in a grump because I just didn't buy it.
What, the relationship between the two of them? Or...
I think I struggled to sympathise with an oil baron. I think that was my downfall.
But she struck me as an inherited oil baron that wants to sort out the problems with oil. You know, the whole kind of oil baron issues, like putting a pipe through someone's temple or ruining people's lakes and things, you know.
I don't know. Yeah. I wasn't. I just, maybe I was in a bad mood.
Yeah. I've just realised that going through his notes is actually a really boring thing to do. So, like, listeners that are still here, you deserve a medal. But we're going to crack on. So number 6... Oh no, that was number 6. Number 7, you'll be glad to know. Electra has to fall for Bond, the chivalry, charm, and courage. Despite the inconvenience of his arrival in the Caspian, she always knows who he is. I kind of think that most people always know who Bond is in every single movie. Like when he turns up,
they'd be circulating a photograph, wouldn't you, by now? Watch
yeah,
out for
I
this
mean,
guy.
he's the least secret agent ever.
He just tells them every time. He's just like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Bond, James Bond."
Yes.
It doesn't. There's no hidden. It's not hidden at all. It's just like, oh.
Do you think he's just not listening when he gets his mission brief, and he probably gets false passports and all the identification, right? Your name is Lazarus Malfoy. I don't know where that came from. And you're a credit broker from, whatever, such and such bank. And he's just like looking at some girl across the office in MI6, just not focused whatsoever. So when he gets out on a mission, it's like the first thing is like, "Who are you?" Bond, James Bond. Oh fuck, gave it away again. Mayhem ensues. Oh well.
Oh dear. Yeah,
Number
he
8.
is that like.
Yeah, number 8. Reverse. I think Ethan Hunt is actually a much better spy than James Bond. And I think if the two had to go up, right, we need that movie. We need like Freddy versus Jason, but we need a James versus Ethan. Hasn't got the same ring to it.
Could you bring anyone else into that as well, like Jason Bourne, as a three-way almost?
No, I would save that for the sequel, but I think that, or you do it like a battle royale of films. So Ethan Hunt, because obviously he's going to kick the living shit out of James Bond. I reckon in a fight, Ethan Hunt would take him easily. And then you have Bourne and Ethan go up in the next film. And who wins that one?
Yeah.
Probably Tom Cruise, because Jason Bourne is a bit podgy these days. Anyhow, where were we? Number 8, reverse Stockholm syndrome. Renard captured Electra. She made him her slave. Now, what do we think of? I kind of appreciated Brosnan's very detailed explanation of what Stockholm syndrome is. His Irish accent really came out during that explanation, and I kind of thought his acting throughout this film, while overall he did a decent job, I thought it was a little bit uneven. So in the bits where he had to be a bit more emotional, and it sounded a bit in Spain we call it telenovela. It was a bit over dramatic. Did anyone notice that? Is anyone with me on that?
Sort of like a daytime soap acting, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's an established Bond. He might be now comfortable in the role and channeling a little bit of Roger Moore in there for the jokes. The story was that Sean Connery came past at one point when they were filming the escaping from exploding ball scene from in the tunnels. And Sean Connery said, "I hope they're paying you enough, or they're not paying you enough for this." So I think Brosnan's quite in the role now and comfortable, and maybe just having a bit of a good time. Does it? I mean, Daniel Craig is an outlier. Does it really matter if their acting isn't, Oscar worthy? I mean, look at Roger Moore. He was a different kettle of fish, wasn't he? Completely.
Yeah, but the Roger Moore films they were what they knew what they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think, and Daniel Craig works as his Bond. I'm not going to say as Bond. Daniel Craig works as his era's Bond, because that's what they wanted to do with that era of Bond.
Yeah.
They were trying to kind of do a similar thing with this era of Bond. But the problem is, for me, this is just my personal opinion. Everyone can disagree, it's fine. But my personal opinion is just that as the Brosnan series went on, it just started to kind of, this wasn't not a bad film by any means, and it's certainly not the worst, because the worst is yet to come.
Another Day.
That is a really good title for a Bond movie. Pierce Brosnan is back in The Worst Is Yet to Come. You thought you'd seen 007 at his worst in Die Another Day, but you ain't seen nothing yet. So where was I? I think there was a tiny wobble in this film with some of what they were trying to achieve, because it's like the plot itself I thought was a really good route idea, because you're taking a kind of real world thing, and then you put Bond in that situation and work out what the villains would be trying to do in that situation. So someone's trying to bring oil out of the Caspian Sea through all those dangerous places. What are people going to do? They're going to try and sabotage it, right? But then I don't know. It is so hard to put my finger on. And even Dave Arnold. So I raved about Dave Arnold on our last episode for Tomorrow Never Dies. And I think Dave Arnold, having done such a bang up job in Goal for the last film, comes back for this one, and he goes more towards his kind of synthesizers and so on.
Do you know what, Bobby?
And he just strayed just a little bit outside of the tradition that I like.
10 seconds of the film, when they play the ident where he's walking in front of the barrel, and you hear that sort of weird twang to the theme that's slightly different, a bit sort of synthesizer-y, a bit Harold Faltermeyer. I checked myself and I had to look, who's done the music? And I was surprised to see it was David Arnold. And I thought of you, and I'm banging my mic in anger now. I thought of you when I heard that and thought, Bobby's going to be upset with this. He's let the side down. That's exactly what I thought when I watched the first 10 seconds. So listeners, if you go back and watch the first 10 seconds, there's a weird kind of off-brand twang to the bah, bah, bah at the beginning, isn't there? Which is exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Overall, it's a good soundtrack, because again, it's scored to the film. He hits all the right moments with the James Bond theme, etc. I can still play a lot of the themes from my head. Again, I haven't got as much of the detail in my mind as I do for the Tomorrow Never Die soundtrack, but that whole opening sequence on the river, that was very, very good. But again, it's just the twangy stuff and the electronic stuff, the plinky plink. It kind of took me back to there was a little bit of the spectre of, see what I did there, of soundtracks from films like Live and Let Die and the unofficial one,
Never Say Never Again.
Never Say Never Again. Yeah. And I'm going to be watching the next one with interest to kind of see then where he progressed. But Alex, how did we get onto that anyway? We were talking about Stockholm syndrome and grounding the thing.
Yeah. But if you're talking music, I was completely bemused by the theme to this film, because I waited for the credits to roll up to see who sung it. And I was absolutely astounded. I know, I was astounded it was Garbage, because Garbage had some kind of really good grungy songs out at the time. And this was so off their style as well.
Yeah,
it is one of the most forgettable Bond themes ever, this one.
Oh, I disagree.
That's how I feel about it. How do you feel, Alex?
I'd agree. There's nothing. Well, okay, there are
nothing wrong with
worse ones. I think that's the thing. There are really bad ones, and there are really good ones, and this just sits somewhere in the middle, and it has no opinion. It doesn't get you thinking. It doesn't get you going at all. It's just. And they could do a lot better.
I wrote down my notes on this. I said the Bond theme is very Bondy. So it's top points for being on brand with the sound, but it's also James Bland.
See,
agreed. That makes sense.
It was written, Dave Arnold wrote it with Don Black. So Don Black wrote the lyrics. They went for Garbage straight away. So I don't think, to my knowledge, any other bands were interviewed or anything. They wanted Shirley Manson to sing this. She was very nervous but glad to do it, but she didn't feel she was worthy of it. Like she says, it was so cool for her to be singing with a big orchestra and so on.
Yeah.
But she was slightly apprehensive. She didn't feel that she was worthy of it, which I think was just her being humble. And they were going for a really big soundscape, which I think they really achieved with it. I totally agree with Alex's point that it doesn't get you going. It's definitely not when it comes on playlist in the Supra, the one that I hammer the foot on the accelerator to. But I like it. I don't know if that's also a little bit of bias towards Garbage, because I really love them as a band and a lot of their songs and stuff. But yeah, it's there we go.
The title sequence is good, though, don't you think, Bobby? I thought that was good as well.
I thought one of my notes to ask you guys was, is this the best looking title sequence to date?
I think it's one of the best, yeah. Personally, I think it just
good.
Worked really well.
It was really competent.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it had any heart. But everything about it was competent.
It had a lot of oil in it.
And there was a lot of action. And the action was good. Brosnan, to be fair, is really good at that. And he loves skiing. There's a lot
of minute, we were talking about the title sequence just now, dude.
Sorry, we mean the bits with the ladies dancing covered in oil, Alex.
The title sequence.
No, I followed that, but that came from the action sequence. You did the pre-bit, didn't you?
Yeah. He falls down. Yeah. He basically, after the balloon explodes over the O2, he falls down onto the O2, and that segues from him falling onto the O2 to him falling into the liquid.
Yeah, that's true. We haven't got to skiing yet.
No, we haven't even talked about the opening sequence yet, so we're going to get to stunts and stuff. Anyway, we're almost here. Number 9. Make Zukovsky more sinister, then a nice twist when he saves Bond's life. I don't think he was more sinister. I actually felt really sorry for him. I thought Bond was being a real dick to him. Poor Hagrid.
That's exactly what my daughter said. She walked into the room when he was lying on the floor with his shooty walking stick. She went, "Poor Hagrid's being killed," and she walked out again.
He's not. He wasn't. It was lovely to see him, and that was the thing. It was lovely to see him. We really enjoyed whenever he was on the screen. It was brilliant. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. But he's in no way sinister. Yeah, he could kill someone, but you never thought that he would even try and kill Bond. It just never crossed your mind.
Yeah. I love when Bond sort of smashes in at the caviar factory, and he turns around and he's like, "Can't you just knock like normal people?"
Or there's later on the Denise Richards bit. That's fun. It's just like, who let you in so I can congratulate them? And
yeah. Who let you in so I can congratulate them? Yeah, it's brilliant. Number 10, this is the last one. Number 10, get a sense of geopolitical context. Renard and Electra are trying to destabilize the Caspian by A, working with internal terrorists, B, playing major powers off against each other, C, using nuclear devices. I realize I just read that out like it was multiple choice, but no, those were his notes. So did we get a sense did we get the context of the geopolitical agenda that was going on here? Or were we just too busy staring at Sophie Marceau and her amazing outfits?
I thought that the last Bond, Tomorrow Never Dies, did a much better job of that. Like it just, because it was literally him creating the news and then playing off that, so it was really obvious. But it did have that feeling of, oh well, China could shoot and then the US could shoot and the UK. Yeah, it did feel like that. Here it was like we were told that it was really important. We kind of started to get the context, but then everything just rattled on, and you
didn't have any shots of Russians in their navy ships or other workers on their pipelines having some sort of effect. He kind of had the little graphic in the center to show which pipes were working. The little light showing where the errant pipe machine. What was it called? That thing, the sleigh going down the machine. But you're right there. There was no kind of real world impact, was there?
No, there wasn't. I mean, apart from the little thing about the whole of Istanbul getting blown to pieces, but it felt more like this was a localized problem and not something that would really bother the rest of us too much, apart from probably our petrol prices. But then our petrol prices probably wouldn't have gone up because this was oil that wasn't being supplied to the rest of the world. I mean, M does make a comment about how, it basically it is just the little matter of, our oil reserves for the next 100 years. Which, Alex probably spat in his tea when he saw that, Mr. Electric Vehicle Man.
Good.
By the way,
learn them.
Yeah, by the way, listeners, within the last 2 weeks, I have joined the EV fraternity. We have an Ioniq 6 in the house, but I still have my Planet Killers. So there we go.
That's balanced. That's good.
Yeah, it was always prophesized that I would bring balance to the force, to the forecourts.
So speaking of Planet Killers, should we segue into the final appearance of the BMW in the Bond film, the Z8?
Yeah, I forgot it was a Z8. I was telling Carolina, that's the Z4. That's the platform that my Supra would eventually be based on.
The Z4 was the hairdresser's car, wasn't it? The Z8 was
that was the Z3.
Oh, you're right.
Z3.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a
lovely car. The Z8, lovely car. It has a slightly kind of nice. Classic style, almost E-type style to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't in the film much, and then it got chopped in half. But it had some really cool gadgets on it. So I don't really want to talk about gadgets just yet. So don't worry, Alex. Alex was just taking a deep breath. He was like, "I'm up now. I'm up now. I'm up now.
I'm up.
No, you're not." So I think let's just go back to cast and crew. So we touched on a couple of people. I do want to talk about, as you can see in my background, I want to talk about this man, Desmond Llewellyn, who sadly died just after the film was released in a car crash. He was badly injured and he died a few days later. Yeah, the movie came out in November. He died in December. And it wasn't intended, but in the film, it's just the most beautiful send-off for him. And, I remember when I saw it the second time, because obviously the first time I saw it, he wasn't dead yet. It really did bring a tear to my eye, and even to this day, I just feel so sad when I see him disappearing into the floor when he gives Pierce Brosnan his last bit of advice. Never let them see you bleed, and all of that, and always have a getaway plan. It's just really sad.
His name was the character.
That's what Q. Yeah. So
when he's posing as an Avis representative in Tomorrow Never Dies, his name badge reads Quentin Quigley.
Okay.
So it may not be his actual name, but what a nice little touch that is.
Yeah.
I mean, but he was what he appeared in 17 films.
Yeah.
And despite that, his on-screen presence is about 30 minutes in total. But he's actually the only actor to work with the first 5 official James Bonds. And he actually thought that Timothy Dalton was closest to Ian Fleming's vision of Bond, which I wouldn't put past him as being wrong, to be honest.
Nope.
But I agree with you, Bobby. When he went down into the floor, that was lovely, wasn't it? That was really nice. And he was being proper feisty at that scene as well, wasn't he?
Oh yeah.
Well, do you know what the thing I liked actually, because then that we get introduced to R, played by John Cleese, before he went completely politically nuts. And John Cleese, the John Cleese that we know from Days of Yore, we all love. And
not the tax dodging idiot right now, you mean?
Well, no, not now. I mean, from Anyway, so
my podcast.
Although.
In with love, out with hate. In with love, out with hate. Go on, you can do it, Bobby.
Out with hate, in with love. Out with hate, in with love. Out with hate, in with love.
He's turned into Bade. Oh my God.
Babe?
Broke him.
I am a babe. Thank you. So anyway, R's introduced. Now, R, I don't think was intended to be a replacement for Q at this stage, but Desmond Llewellyn had been asking for Q to have an assistant for the last 4 movies, and they finally relented and introduced John Cleese as R. And the thing that I really love, because I love the interplay between Q and Brosnan's Bond since, the first time they appear together in GoldenEye. And this time, it's almost like the dynamic shifted slightly, and you see Q and Pierce Brosnan next to each other, and they're taking the mick out of and Q looks like he's really enjoying it. So I think Desmond Llewellyn obviously is really, really enjoying it. And they really, really do. What's the word? Wind him up.
Yeah, it's a bit of bullying, really, isn't it? But like light-hearted bullying almost.
Yeah.
Workplace banter.
Yeah.
Workplace banter, exactly. But John Cleese is given the task of explaining the car to him. But to be honest, I just wasn't listening. I completely got distracted just watching the relationship between Pierce Brosnan and Desmond Llewellyn, and it's just it's so fun and it's just beautiful. So farewell, rest in peace, dear man, and thank you for the enjoyment you've brought over the course of your time playing that very wonderful character. Who else was in this that we didn't talk about? Oh, Cigar Girl. She was played by Italian actress
Maria Grazia
Cucinotta. She was all right, wasn't she? I'm just
she was an interesting
it.
character. She's an interesting character, wasn't she? You probably read this as well, Bob. Wasn't she first considered for the role of Electra as well?
I didn't read that.
So she was first considered for the role of Electra, but her English just wasn't good enough. But she was desperate to be in the film, so they kind of wrote this role for her as Cigar Girl. And I think it's one of the first double entendres that Bond makes in the film, isn't it, as well?
In the opening scene in the Swiss bank.
When they're meeting with the British actor with terrible accent.
I think she says something like, "Do you want to check the figures, Mr. Bond?" And he says, "I'm sure they're perfectly well-rounded." As he looks at her curves.
Would you like to check my figures?
Yeah. Look, let's because I really want to get to gadgets, but we've got to talk about some of the stunts and stuff first of all. So, stunts and action sequences. There were 3 main ones. So we had the opening. So let's talk about the opening first of all. Opening to a Bond film. We got not one but two, because obviously we got him in the Swiss bank at the beginning retrieving the suitcase of money. I have a comment about his escape out of that window. His belt loops on that suit would have had to have been very, very tough. I
would imagine Q probably designed them for him, didn't he? Surely.
Q.
He's made bulletproof suits in the past, hasn't he? So maybe he made
true.
like climbing quality loops, like mini carabiners around his waist.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. But that was kind of exciting. But then he goes back to MI6 and the briefcase blows up. So he's inadvertently acted as the missile for killing King. And then we get that boat chase on the River Thames, which was freaking awful. Now, I know awful, which was awesome. Awesome, yeah. Why was I going to say awful? Anyway, John, you lived in Canning Town at the time, so you were around there when this was all happening.
I'm pretty sure they were filming it when I lived there. I remember the hubbub of it all. Lots of boats on, because they didn't just use one boat, there was loads of them. Because I think they kept trashing it. But yeah, and I had a window out my flat could look across to the O2 and across to the cranes and things that had all the camera crew. Yeah, so it was quite a tricky one for them to film, because I think didn't they have to observe a lot of the speed limits on the Thames as well? It was quite strict about speed limits.
Yeah, I expect so.
I had the police on hand because obviously, members of the public were calling 999 when they heard gunfire and stuff. So they could just through to the bodies that were there.
On the extra features, you can watch that scene with all the camera angles expanded out. So there's like 5 different windows.
Oh, wow.
So you can watch the filming of that from the different, and then they cut between them. And it's fascinating to see how the director of photography and the director kind of set that up so they could cut between them and get all these lovely shots, and shots that weren't even used. like when the sort of rocket boat spins on a spot when it turns direction. Like it's really cool. If you ever get a chance to see it, the kind of expanded view of that scene is really fascinating to watch. But I think do we see scenes like this anymore in films? It's interesting, wasn't it? Because you get a lot of stunts, but this is, the fact they can paint this story in these sort of 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever it was. It's very well filmed, I thought. And I did recognize, again, like old haunts, because I used to obviously go up through Surrey Quays, because you can see Surrey Quays in some of the scenes as well.
Yeah, Shad
I'm sure you
Thames and all
recognized
that.
it, Alex. So it's fascinating just looking at the different area. It's nice to see in a film somewhere that isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very good. I really enjoyed it.
If you've done the Clipper, if it's nothing like that, but it kind of reminds you of it. It's just the Thames, that part of the Thames is it's kind of unloved a bit, but it's just quite nice. Like if you do the run up to Greenwich, that's good.
The jump over the boat where it does a full 360 barrel roll was, it felt like a nod towards not Live and Let Die. Was it Live and Let Die where he did the crossing over the bridge, the famous barrel roll in the car crossing? Was it not Live and Let Die? Was it
I can't remember. I have to look it up.
But that very famous that we all thought was fake was actually really done. That barrel roll across the American River. I thought this was almost like a homage to that flip over as well. And again, an incredible thing to do over water. Really good.
Yeah,
it's good to have a scene that still wows you 20 years later, 30 years later.
Man with the Golden Gun.
Man with the Golden Gun, thank you.
Yeah. Except this time around, the music was actually appropriate. And then the next big sequence was the ski sequence, the one that you guys mentioned last time out, where you said that the CGI was really shonky and horrible.
This is not.
And see, me, I wasn't even concentrating because I was really staring at the screen, and I kept turning around to Carolina saying, "The CGI is not bad, is it?" And she was like, "No."
There's a couple
really
of dodgy
good
green screens in this scene, but
it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Have you seen Die Another Day?
Yes, obviously. I've seen all of them.
But surely you know.
I mean, now thanks to the Bondathon, huh?
Surely you know the scene that we mean in Die Another Day.
I know. Yeah, there's like Rosamund Pike and him, right? And there's some big backdrop, some wave. It's surfing.
Surfing on like a missile casing or something like that.
Yeah.
Or a scooter.
Yeah. I had nothing to do with that film.
Yeah. Anyway, so this scene was great. This boat scene was excellent. I thought.
Yeah, it was. It was really good.
Yeah.
Don't forget boat sat nav.
Boat sat nav. Yeah. Okay. Look, we're not talking about gadgets yet. Not gadgets yet,
I'll
Alex. Not gadget. Alex, down, boy. Okay.
All right.
Ski sequence. LCD screened box.
So the funny thing with the ski sequence, right? So they jump out of the helicopter to start skiing, and then there's all that sort of funny lovey-dovey, we're getting to know each other, getting to know you music. And then all of a sudden, out come, and I straight away turn around, and Caroline and I were both laughing. We're like Bond villains on a mountaintop. They do it only one way, don't they? They have those little snowmobiles with their little skis on them and a flipping fan at the back, and off they go with their little machine guns.
These vehicles are apparently called Parahawks.
Yeah, they were all suspended. So they were suspended on wires, I think.
Yeah.
And so the only real CGI was actually the taking the wires out of the scene, which they did a really, really good job of on my computers. Yeah. Well done. So you should.
And they're coming down this lovely V formation, aren't they? All very organised.
Yeah.
Very nice.
They can't shoot for shit though. They're like stormtroopers. They can't hit anything. No, no one's got anything to say.
Yeah.
And then
true.
Next action sequence would be the submarine then at the end, wouldn't it? Really? No. Hang on. No, before that.
There's the pipe, isn't there? There's
the pipe and also the caviar factory as well. Sorry.
Yeah, but then it's them underneath going inside the tube as well, which is a sort of separate stunt sequence, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, that's right.
There's them, Denise and Bond trying to escape the room with the nuclear thing in it.
Yeah, that's at the end.
The doors shutting and opening, and then there's, as you say, it's the I quite enjoyed the caviar factory. It's a very iconic sequence. I think it was featured quite a lot in the BMW adverts as well.
Yeah,
So
and it's
I do
at the
remember.
end when Zukovsky says to his henchman, he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
look, we can rebuild it. We have 4 good standing walls," and then the whole thing collapses. Oh,
Very good.
bless.
That
Yeah,
would be
and then the submarine sequence at the end, and it was really
Yeah.
funny. In my little book of notes and stuff, they don't talk that much about it,
was
but it
very
was a
well done.
huge thing. Yeah,
It
it
was
was well
very well
done.
done. Very well done. I don't know, because they must have had to use a real submarine, and the fact that when it starts diving to the bottom of the sea, and they all get sort of flipped over and start dropping down, that was very well done. They must have had to build an entire set that moved for that.
So it was built on the submarines, right? The nuclear core part of the submarine, the reactor room, was built on A stage at Pinewoods.
Yeah.
The submarine's underwater exterior shots were filmed with a 45-foot model over 5 weeks from March the 24th, 1999, 1 mile offshore from the Clarion Resort in the Bahamas.
Oh yeah.
nice.
So yeah,
I presume they had to comp the swimmers back into that then, swimming out the door and up the top.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought it was very done. I mean, there's been some dodgy old special effects in Bond films in the past and in the future, but I thought this was very well done.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was good.
yeah.
The submarine scene was a bit distracting, though.
I know what you're thinking. Exactly what I was
It was
thinking.
like a constant.
Exactly what I was
It was like
your
different.
face before you said it.
It was like a solo, different levels of wet t-shirt competition.
It's hard,
Sorry.
isn't it? Because they were different different times, weren't they? And that yeah. I did feel for poor old Denise because it must have been difficult to get past those pipes and things. Bless her. And it's not practical, was it? Really, that get up? Let's be honest.
No.
Yeah.
And she got slated for it as well.
She did. I felt really bad. I feel really bad.
I didn't think
actually.
that was fair on her. She just was doing her job. She was doing what she was told to do, and I think with what she was given, she did the best that she could.
Yeah, no, I think she was fine. I think, you don't really get Denise Richards for depth.
Although I thought she was absolutely brilliant in Starship Troopers.
Yeah,
she was actually. Yeah, that's true. That's very good. Mm.
I mean, she doesn't help herself with that. What was the other film? The one with
Wild Things.
Yeah, with
Neve Campbell.
And that was what was going on there? Goodness me.
Everyone goes through that.
I haven't seen that film. I've just seen certain scenes.
Oh, Bobby.
I don't know. You're like you're a teenager. DVDs are a new thing. You can suddenly jump to scenes. Like what do you do?
I think we should move on.
Yes, I think you're right. I think we should.
Apparently, Wild Things. There are about 5 or 6 sequels after that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't Felipe marry one of the actresses in that film?
No, he was married to Reese Witherspoon. Yes,
that's right. Yeah, wasn't she in Wild Things?
No. Oh yeah, she was. She was the third one.
Was.
Yeah, because Neve Campbell and Denise Richards were the 2 naughty girls.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I always found a bit weird because Neve Campbell for me was like the sort of girl that you brought home to your mum, right? And Denise Richards.
Well, she's Sydney, isn't she? She's Sydney.
She is Sydney. What's your favorite scary movie, John? Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I need to see Scream 6. Have you seen the new Scream movies?
No, you don't. It's very bad.
Oh, really?
I want to watch.
Shut up! I'm going to watch it anyway.
Oh, all right.
Don't tell me anything about it. I like Scream 5.
We're getting off topic.
Good.
Here we are. Yeah. So
for once.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Right, Alex, you're up. Gadgets. Let's do it.
Alex, I'm up.
There's a lot of gadgets.
There were a lot.
There's a lot of gadgets. So let's Swiss Bank.
Where should we start?
I don't know. Well, I guess the opening scene he uses some, doesn't he?
So in the open scene, what have you got? You've got the boat, Q's boat.
Before that, in the bank, in the Swiss bank, he puts he puts the gun on the table.
Yes, that's right. So he puts the gun on the table. He's got the
the glasses. Sorry, the glasses. Yeah.
That's it. Detonator glasses.
Gadget Man. I didn't really know how they worked. What because there's a close up of them flopping open, and then all hell broke loose. What was going on
Listeners,
there?
just in case you're confused, Gadget Man is now Alex's name for the next 5 minutes. Yes, Gadget Man, go.
Yeah, I think what they were meant to do was there's
Gadget.
meant to be a switch on the corner so that when you open it, it connects. I think that was what
it's a
they were
button on the
trying to go
glasses.
for on the glasses itself.
Oh.
And then it was remotely connected to the gun. But you're right, it made no sense. Like, why would you make such an elaborate trigger? I have no idea.
Yeah. So then I think the next one in that, because that's going that far back to the beginning of the film, you got to include the label, the pin on his jacket that sets the money off. That's what Gadget,
Yes.
isn't
So
it?
then you get onto the lapel pin,
Yeah.
Which is a key part of it. What else do we have? We've got
boat.
The boat. Yeah, we've got the boat. We've also got the I can't remember where this bit was. The Visa card skeleton key.
Oh yeah.
Where he moves it to the side and it just flips out.
Keep going. Keep going.
Can I ask a question?
Throwaway thing.
Why would you have a skeleton key as a credit card when you could just put a skeleton key in your pocket and just use it? You know what I mean?
I've no idea. I assume that it's because you can't search for it.
Like, yeah.
Okay. That's what I'd assume is why you could be searched, or maybe even you could use it as a
product placement.
Yeah, yeah, you could use it as a product placement in a film, but that would work really well.
No, sorry, I was doing product placement.
You were doing product placement.
Pointing out
it's subliminal. It keeps flashing every. Like, did you see it?
Keeps popping in.
Can't.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. What about the gun bagpipes? I quite like the gun bagpipes that was being tested as well.
Not only that, the freaking flamethrower. Those bagpipes were lethal.
Yeah.
Carolina found the key in the credit card. Yeah, Carolina found that really cool. I think that was actually her favorite gadget.
Was it really?
Yeah.
All right. I would have gone with the X-ray
She's
specs,
a very practical person.
I bet you would.
Yeah, the X-ray specs, because they were like blue tinted, which was nice. And then the filter that they showed was hilarious.
It showed all the ladies' underwear, but not the men's.
I know, it's very, very sensitive.
I took photographs actually. Let me see.
I bet you did. So they filmed the actors had to film them twice for that scene. They filmed them with their clothes on, and then they filmed them with the special clothes that showed the outlines of the guns and sort of translucent. And they did like a double matte of both. There was one gadget. Whacking me, Mike. There was one gadget that made me feel like they were getting ready for Die Another Day. That I thought was utterly ridiculous science fiction, which is the holographic floor with that sort of hologram of Reynard's head spinning around.
Oh,
and Bond started putting his finger into his brain and trying to tweak his bullet.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. They really started pushing it a bit. I think for me, I was more excited by the practical ones this time.
Yeah.
So the ones that I loved practically were the Avalanche survival jacket was very cool.
That was cool.
Is
that a real thing?
Don't know. That's a good question.
Do you know, it's kind of a bit like, those cycling helmets that you wear the band around your neck.
Feels like it should be, doesn't it?
Yeah. Right. So can I just go back to the X-ray specs? Because it's a bit inconsistent, because when we first see how they work, and there's the two girls at sort of the Wheel of Fortune thing bending over, you can see. I'll tell you what you can see.
You've got this up, haven't you? That's what it is.
You can see that thing that goes around the lady's waist, and then it has the straps that hold the stockings up. I don't know what that's
suspenders,
called.
You mean?
Suspenders.
Oh, okay. Thanks. You can see the knickers. You can see they're not wearing anything else underneath that dress. And then when you go to the shot of the guy at the bar, the other henchman with the two girls either side, you're right. Like, you can't see through his clothes. You can only see his guns and a knife. But the two women, you can't see their bras or anything. You can just see the guns. So it's
maybe very inconsistent. I can't believe we're discussing this, but maybe the girls in the first part were wearing thinner, more sort of sheerer clothes, and the ladies with the henchmen had more sensible sort of layered clothing on.
Yeah, but then if they were wearing sheer, he wouldn't need the X-ray specs, would he?
No, maybe not.
I'm just surprised that in all of the film, these are the bits that are confusing you. There's no other bits that are confusing you, like the whole thing with going along in the inside of a oil pipe. You're fine with that, or the elaborate way of that's all good. That's fine. That or the hologram is absolutely fine. It's just the X-ray specs. They're inconsistent.
No, to be fair to Bobby, I'm now looking at both his pictures too. I think I found the same website as him. And there is a marked
Shut up,
difference.
John. You're just grabbing your screenshots.
No, I'm not. I'm going. Look, I can't show you, can I? Because there's stupid backgrounds. But the girls bending over the wheel of fortune are way less stressed than the ladies at the bar. I think one of the ladies might be a man in drag. I can't tell for sure. Yeah, completely different.
That's to bizarre, be fair, all of the blue X-ray dresses and stuff is all animated. So
yeah, let's just say it's not a finest hour, is it?
I completely. Did we talk about the Z8 and the gadgets on that?
No, we haven't got to the Z8, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
With the Stinger missiles
between women in casinos, Denise Richards nips, Sophie Marceau, just generally. It was a very hard film to concentrate on.
Quite a sweaty film, this, wasn't it? Let's be honest. That's why the plot surprised us, isn't it? We weren't paying attention that much.
Oh my God, that's what it was about? Yeah. Right, sorry. Where are we? The Z8? No, we're not there yet.
Yeah. So we did the Z8. Fine. Well, there is a Z8.
Alex has given up.
With the I think it's Stinger missiles.
Yeah, and a remote control keychain as well.
And that's right. The steering wheel with the targeting system. That was really cool.
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
That's right.
Yeah. Then we got those helicopters with the blades on them. The villains gadgets.
Exactly.
The tree shredder things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
And Zukovsky's cane it's actually a gun.
Cane gun, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
The Parahawks
Omega.
Oh, that was good. The Seamaster.
Yeah.
With the flashy lights on it.
Mm-hmm. With the flashy lights. I can't think.
Get one of those for about $2,000 still, apparently. There was the torture chair, which is behind me on my background there.
It's not really a gadget, isn't it? Though.
It's an ancient gadget.
Yeah, but it's not cool. Do you know, I think we should really restrict talking about gadgets to the ones that we would actually want to buy if they were in Curry's or PC World or whatever it's called these days.
Okay. That's apart from the Parahawks, that's about it, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think my favourite was the inflatable jacket. I thought that was really cool.
That wasn't my favourite.
Okay.
I think Alex is diving out and he's going to come back in because he's got some internet
I think he's gone off to eBay to buy a £2,000 Omega Seamaster. I think that's what he's done. He needs the bandwidth so he can.
He's gone to check the casino.
Refresh.
He's gone to check the casino scene again. So gadgets. Okay, fine.
So we're done with gadgets. Yeah.
We could talk about clothes, John, because usually that's more me and you
I wrote
than him.
That down. I wrote some of that down.
Okay, so what did you add to your if money were no object? I would want one of those.
What, in terms of the clothing, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved his linen suit a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to have the frame of Brosnan to wear that. But I still think also the classic dark suit with no tie, deep open lapel, which was, I think, the look for the Oscars this year as well. I noticed a lot of open lapels at the Oscars. Hemsworth, Downey Jr., to name but a few. I like that a lot. And actually, interestingly, he managed to get away wearing that inside the Dr. Arakov suit when he was trying to go undercover in the nuclear sort of works. He's still wearing that wonderful bleach white shirt underneath it. He's wearing the very big lapels. But I think Karen.
I was going to say, did you notice the change in jacket style for this film on every single suit he wore, apart from the tux? They're all three.
Yeah, I mean, it was very nice. Unique. You'll know this, but his frame is quite good. I think that my frame wouldn't work with this jacket personally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of 3 buttons generally because to to make them work, you need to be able to do the top button up.
Yeah.
And I think they work better on guys who are a bit thinner and a bit more rakish, like the Bill Nye type sort of frame.
But then we saw Bond with his kit up a few times, and he's fairly rakish, isn't he? He's not got the chest of Daniel Craig, has he? The pecs.
No, he hasn't. I mean, Daniel Craig's brief to his trainer when he got the role for Casino Royale is, "I need you to make me look like I could kill someone."
Yeah.
And mission accomplished. But my favorite. I always thought my favorite outfit from this film was his linen suit, right?
Yeah, me too.
The herringbone linen suit. But actually, my favorite was the tux, and it just goes to show. I mean, that is essentially, the tux that Daniel Craig would wear in Casino Royale. One button, single-breasted peak lapel. When he leaves the bed to then go and do Bond stuff, like, shoot the henchman and, get the doctor's ID and stuff, he puts his tux back on to go and do that, but without the bow tie. And he just looks so suave and cool and sophisticated and stuff. So that was my favorite outfit of his for me. Although I would dress like that during the day, actually.
We do need to point out the wonderful, which I think you mentioned, very small, lovely tweaking of the tie as he's going underwater in the boat.
Yeah, in the boat, exactly. That was a nod to Golden Eye, I think.
It was his idea to do that as well. I just thought that was brilliant because of all the places you do it when you're going underwater.
Yeah. But it was the same as in GoldenEye when he does it on the tank, when he smashes through that wall and he adjusts his tie. I think we should also talk about the girls' outfits, because Denise Richard, when she gets out of that hazmat suit... Sorry, my brain just skipped again.
There was that purple outfit in the caviar factory that
let's talk about Lara Croft outfit.
Well, yes.
Because I didn't remember she was wearing the little shorts and the boots and everything. It was very much Lara Croft. When she took the first bit off, I was like, oh, please be dressed like Lara Croft. Oh my God, I sound so sad. And then she was, and I was like, oh my God, Christmas just came.
Well, literally. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, I'm just watching it now, that scene, and the Bond's talking to the foreman there, who thinks she might be gay because she didn't, she spurned his advances. So he's like, oh, she's obviously not into women, not into men. But as he's saying that, she's taking off her hazmat suit, and there's a gratuitous bending over cleavage shot, and again, you can see why she got a lot of grief for this film. But she holds her own in it a little bit, I think. If you ask me, she owns it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there was a little throwback for me to Diamonds Are Forever, because you remember the actress in that, the American actress.
Yeah.
She came
spunky.
A bit clunky in places, but again, I'm not going to be too hard on her. So...
And that's where everyone stopped listening.
So I didn't mean that. I meant it as not like I'm not going to be tough on her.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, that's what I meant. You're so dirty. Oh my God! Do you know what? We will be high with that last Tomorrow Never Dies review, and we've just sunk to the depths like that submarine.
We will be much more progressive as our films get more modern, boys and girls. We really will. It's just
we're going to be so serious for the Daniel Craig era. So Sophie Marceau, I think she just looked incredible. Everything she wore, whoever did the costume design and dressed her, my God. I mean, I don't know if it's a French thing as well, like that whole je ne sais quoi.
Well, the sort of lacy chiffons with like flat, like plants and things. I mean, it's like sort of a with whoever designed it, did some very clever things to cover her modesty, but also show off her figure. That was very well done. She looked very glamorous when she had her hair up, and even the earring, which was a plot device, was very clever as well. I thought that was very well designed.
Yeah.
with some very, very obvious CGI as she moved her head around. I noticed. But yeah, I'm just looking at her sort of her twin set look with this sort of the twisted pearls around her neck, creating like sort of this choker, and the matching earrings. That was very, very money, wasn't it? You could tell that she was, showing off her wealth there.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Yeah. Alex, we were talking about outfits. You may have guessed. Any favorite? What did you think overall of the way that Brosnan dressed in this film? We were talking about the fact that every single one of his suits was a 3-button, single-breasted, so a little bit of a boxier fit for this movie from the previous outings.
He looked sharp, didn't he? It was quite a nice one. I think.
I mean, I just like his linen most. I think.
I think I think it came across really well. So I don't think there was anything to fault him on that. It was brilliant. And also because he did a lot of action this time, so you got to see him in doing lots of different things, and I think that helped him stand out a lot. Like because he was always sharp, even when he was like falling down a submarine or whatever. He was still like, oh yeah, but still wearing a suit though, or still it's got can't remember if it was down to a shirt and trousers at that point, but yeah. So yeah, no, it's really good. But I feel like I left, and then you guys just started talking about the Bond girls again, and it's like a record you've got stuck.
No, we weren't, Alex. We were being deadly serious, and we were just talking about Brosnan's outfits.
Okay, so, I take that back then. Fair enough.
Listeners, if you tell on us, we will kill you. Okay, so this movie has an aggregate score of about 54% on Rotten Tomatoes. No, it's 51%, I think. Average rating of 5.6 out of 10, I think, on IMDb. 57 out of 100 on Metacritic, Metacritic, where they go to play cricket in the metaverse. So Roger Ebert, he said at the time that the film was a splendid comic thriller, exciting and graceful, endlessly inventive, and he gave it a stonking 3.5 stars out of 4.
Did he really say that?
He did.
Was he watching a different film?
Is the quote. That's what I thought, which gives you a clue as to where this is going. And the independent Antonia Quirk at the time said the film is certainly less definitively feeble than other recent Bond offerings, with an at least two-dimensional female character in the bold and oval Marceau. But my reaction is much the same as to a new Rolling Stones album. I'm just grateful that it's not embarrassing. So what did we think? Variety said that Denise Richards was the least plausible nuclear physicist in the history of movies, which makes even the electrochemist that Elizabeth Shue played in The Saint sound like a Nobel laureate.
This was his worst one, wasn't it? Out of all of his films, this was his worst film.
Brosnan.
No, I disagree. It wasn't his worst.
Do you mean
the worst is yet? The worst is yet to come. No, his worst today.
Box office take. What do you mean
in terms of reception? This is his worst one. When you look at the tomato rating, then this is the lowest of the Brosnan ones. Yeah,
really?
And in fact, it's really low generally. There's a few that are lower, which are a couple of Roger Moore ones.
Well, do you know it's really interesting, Alex? Because my comment earlier on about how I thought Brosnan was channeling his inner Roger Moore. Pete de Bruges of Variety wrote in 2012 that the film presents a conflicted persona torn between the corny antics of the Roger Moore era and the grim seriousness of where things would eventually go under Daniel Craig's tenure. So I feel vindicated there, really.
Yeah, it does sit like between. There's a few poor more ones underneath, but no, it wasn't great.
You're at that point.
So do you want a rating?
No, sorry, no. Yeah, not yet, not you. John first, as always. And that's not, it's just that his name comes before yours in the alphabet.
What?
No, I was skipping ahead, and I was just reading about Die Another Day. And that's why I'm coughing, because I've just read someone's review of it, and I'm like, that guy I want whatever that guy was smoking. Send it to me, please. Anyway, John.
Yes. My ranking, I'll give it a solid 8. I really enjoyed the film. I know.
Oh, no. Sorry. I thought we were talking about Die Another Day. Sorry. Carry on.
No. I haven't seen it for a long time. I can't remember it apart from the dodgy CGI. But for this film, I'm going to give it a solid 8. I enjoyed it. It lost points on the theme tune. I genuinely quite liked Denise Richards' character. I think she got more grief than she deserved. So I'm going to give it 8. I left that film last night because I watched it very recently, thinking, do you know what? That's one of the ones I've enjoyed more. So I'm going to give it a solid 8.
And do you know what? As we've said before, it doesn't matter what people think of a film. If you enjoyed it, you were engaged and having a great time, that's all that matters. Alex.
I'm not going to rate it as badly as Rotten Tomatoes, but I'll give it a 6.5. I think it was I think it was technically well executed, but I didn't think it had any soul. And I think that the lovely Bond girls would normally make up for that, but I've laughed in more Roger Moore films than this.
Yeah, but you've got to remember as well, Alex, that this film was turned into a first-person shooter by Electronic Arts as well. That's got to add some kudos to it.
But it's not GoldenEye.
An extra
if it was GoldenEye, it would be.
No,
I know.
GoldenEye. I don't know how you can compete with that, but yeah, no, it's fine. There's nothing specific wrong with it, but it's just there's not as much good at it than I thought. And when I think about it and I compare it to something like Moonraker, for example, which is ridiculous in many, many ways, I enjoyed that more. And
it's so wild.
And that's the thing. You got to. Why am I here? Yeah, it's a credible film, but I wasn't as entertained. Sorry, Denise Richards. It's not enough.
Denise Richards,
or maybe your boobs
are
are
what you're saying.
Oh, okay, he said it. He went there. Can I ask you a question, Alex? Was this better than Tomorrow Never Dies?
Ooh. No. No, it wasn't. It just wasn't. Michelle Yeoh was stronger on this. And
so, do you want me to change your Tomorrow Never Dies rating to 6.5 and give this a 6?
Is that why I did it?
Yep.
What did I give Tomorrow Never Dies, Bobby?
You gave it an 8. To be fair, John, you give most films an 8.
Yeah.
I love these films.
Yes, please.
I'm going to change my rating to this one. I'm going to change it to an 8.5.
Oh, fucking hell. Okay.
Could you swap mine around, please, Bobby? And hopefully everyone could keep track. But this is not this is not better than Tomorrow Never Dies.
Can I ask you? Okay. So can I ask you another question? Was this film better than Diamonds Are Forever?
I don't remember. That was ages ago.
That was one Sean Connery.
The weird one. Do you remember?
Mustang, Las Vegas.
The space vehicle escaping.
Space vehicles.
Yeah, it probably was. Or at least it was on par. What did I give that?
Okay, fine. You gave that a 6.
Yeah.
And was this?
You always give it a 6. You always give it a 6.
We haven't got to the Craig ones.
You
don't like Bond, really,
I'm saving all my ones for
John?
Craig.
Right.
Was this better than For Your Eyes Only?
Enjoying watching Alex squirm a little bit here, folks.
Oh, are you still talking to me? I thought you were talking about John.
I'm talking to you. No, I was telling John. When I say John, that means John, shut up.
I don't think it is. Does that make sense?
You don't think it's better than For Your Eyes Only? Okay, so then you've given them both a 6. Do you want me to change this to a 5 point? Do you want me to change this to a 5.5?
Yeah, at the moment, this is going down and down and down. Do you know what? We'll go with 5.5 and no, actually,
Okay.
can we go with 5? Because then it aligns with this Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. 5 out of 10, 51%.
Do you think in that case, do you think that when you do your ranking for Die Another Day, we could hit a sub-5 rating for a film?
Possibly.
So you've not given yourself
I've not given myself any room.
But I have, you see.
Yeah, I think that's quite possible.
Bobby, what was your rating for this one?
So initially I was going with a 7, but then I thought The Man with the Golden Gun, On Her Majesty's, and Thunderball I kind of slightly enjoyed more than this. And I think they were kind of slightly better films. Weirdly, I thought I was going to go into this with an 8, but when I rewatched it yesterday, it's just, I don't know. It's kind of like, it's a bit like an Android phone. It seems like a really good idea, and it seems really nice on the surface with its fancy OLED displays and the promise of something fresh and new. But when you get into it, it's a bit clunky. So and then having done what I did to Alex, I've then gone and looked at everything else, and then so I've moved For Your Eyes Only down to a 5.5, and then I've given this a 6 because I did enjoy this more than For Your Eyes Only. Yeah. So I think, do you know what? I'm going to say 6.5. But then do I need to move Octopussy to a 7?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm going to say 6.5. And the reason it just loses points is because it's a real difficult one with this one. And do you know what keeps flashing in my mind? Just to give you a bit of
boobs?
No, just Sophie Marceau.
Yeah, she is very lovely.
You know, because when she says to him when he's running after her, and she's like, "You can't kill me, James, not in cold blood," and I'm thinking, I wouldn't be able to kill her. I'd probably just let her break my neck.
Em was not happy about that, was she? She was not happy.
About what? That he? No, I think she was not happy for him.
Yeah,
and it also was a bit tragic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And also maybe she was thinking on her sins.
Maybe, but I'm gonna change my rating from 8 to 8.75, just because I remember the final sentence of the film about Christmas. So changed to 8.75.
We didn't talk about that, did we? Hang on a minute.
No, we did not.
I'm right. 7.5. There we go.
Okay. No,
we didn't talk about that. So
no, but
we have a very Moonraker-esque ending, don't we?
I always wanted to have Christmas in Turkey.
That's it.
Such a good line.
I was so embarrassed when I saw that in the cinema because I was sat right next to my dad, and I was like, "That's a bit."
Do you think that they gave her name at the end of the film just for that line?
Must have.
Christmas Jones.
No, they didn't. She was named. She was named by the screenwriters after Christmas Humphreys, the prosecutor in the Derek Bentley case, who first popularized Buddhism in England. So, Wade and Purvis, the screenwriters who were brought in for this, they wrote "Let Him Have It," which was the 1991 movie about the was it Derek Bentley? Yeah, Derek Bentley, because he was hanged, wasn't he? Back in this, I think it was in the 60s, maybe.
What was the film called?
Let Him Have It.
Oh, Let Him Have It.
It was a British film about the Derek Bentley case.
1950s England.
So they named the character after her, Christmas Humphreys.
Christopher Eccleston played Derek Bentley in that film.
Yeah.
That's not as much fun.
So, and I think Derek Bentley was from Norbury, which is my hometown. I'm going to look that up really quickly. I'm pretty sure he was from Croydon, maybe. Yeah, Derek Bentley. Oh no, hang on. Is that a different fellow, Derek Bentley? No, that was him.
It's Beddington, wasn't it?
Fairview Road in Norbury.
Okay.
Derek William Bentley of Fairview Road. Yeah, so he was literally a few. Yeah, he was a few roads from where I grew up. My parents.
And one of the characters in the film called Stella was played by Serena Scott Thomas, who then played Dr. Molly Warmflash as well.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. Sister of Kristen Scott Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you. I think that about wraps it up. We've gone on for longer than I intended on this one. I thought this will be quick, one and done, but there was a lot that happened in that film, and there was a lot to unpack.
Yeah, there was.
There was.
I should have said there was a lot to undress. Damn it. Missed a trick there. So sorry. But yeah, there we go. So we've just got one more, and then we're into Daniel Craig. Aren't we excited?
Very excited.
But you know, it's gotta get worse before it gets better. Cool. Thanks, guys. Jon and I saw June just this past weekend.
June 2.
So that was fun. June 2, sorry. I say June because it just felt like the first movie. I mean that in a good way. It just felt like we'd had a very long intermission, and then we went in for the second half.
Yeah, okay.
Second, third, as it turns out. But anyway, so yeah, we hopefully will be getting together to talk about that. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you all once again for joining us, especially if you're still here after all of that. You deserve some sort of medal.
Well done.
Remember, for regular show updates, join us on Instagram at Tailoring Talk Podcast, and you can support the show at the link in the show notes. You can also help massively by reviewing us and giving a rating if your podcast listening app allows. We will return to review Die Another Day. It has to get worse before it can get better. Until then, take care, and we'll see you on the next 007 episode of Tailoring Talk. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.